What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to episode 168 of the U.S.S. Enterprise D tutorial. I'm Zero Elite, and I just want to thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me in supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And also, don't forget to check out the Discord. I'll have a link in the description below. So today, we've got about a 15-minute episode. This recording session is 33, but we'll be splitting this up into 2 episodes. And today we're going to be focusing on the Captain's Yacht. This is going to be a lot of fun to build. So we are in the saucer section in the dead center at the belly of the saucer. So without further ado, let's kick back, relax, and jump right into this. I believe that the Captain's Yacht, this is going to be a 3-part episode. And we've got a decent amount of room here to work with. We're going to slightly change up our entry point here at the bottom. As you can see, we had a wall here in front of us. We got rid of that. And we're going to be adding a wall here on the left. Just slightly readjusting our entryway point. Now, some of you might be thinking, hey, why are you moving the entryway point? It should be going to the left, which is true, but I ultimately decided for the Captain's Yacht that I was going to have to move the doorway to the left, just because we have room to work with, but we don't have a ton of room to work with, and I would have had to have made an extra doorway to come out, and it was going to be off-centered, so I just decided, like, you know what? Like, let's just move the doorway. It's not going to be a big deal on this deck, and I think it'll work out just fine. All right, we're looking good, so we're going to make our way back down here in just a second. We're up on the bridge right now. We're going to add in our last set of lights. So at least this way it matches when we're going all through the levels of our decks. Get that much needed light source in here. Alright, that's looking pretty good. So actually I've had some people lately asking me, hey, why aren't you making your ships one-to-one match with the blueprints that you can find on these ships? And, you know, that's a very interesting question, but there's a couple of reasons why I build these ships in the way that I do. Because even with the blueprints that you can find of these ships, you're not going to get detail on a level that you really be able to flesh out the entire ship. And on top of that, this is a thing to remember, you know, at the end of the day, this is a fictional ship, so you can play around with it and have a little bit of fun. But the main reason that I don't follow it one for one is because you're not going to get that detail out of it that you'd be expecting that you would. And maybe this is just me, but something that I've noticed anyway, that with the blueprints that you can find, you'll notice that a lot of the rooms on the decks are duplicates, and that makes for just a lot of repetition, is building the same thing over and over again, which is perfectly fine. And to be honest with you, there's shipbuilders out there that you can find that do end up doing that. But I don't know, like, this is just my opinion, but comparing the two, comparing one of my builds to somebody that did a complete one-for-one cannon build, I think that mine look more detailed and way more accurate, because I'm not wasting all this room on my build just to have an excessive amount of quarters, for example. Or an excessive amount of science labs. that they haven't even fleshed out, because like you're looking at a top-down view and you'll see like an X and a circle, and it's like, what's that supposed to be? These rooms haven't been fleshed out. So that's kind of like one of the reasons why I build these ships the way that I do. I try to focus on the moments, and I let the moments as well as the room that I have to work with dictate what I'm going to make on my build. Now, with that being said, it is a good idea to look up the blueprints for these ships before you build them to give you an idea of the basic layout. But again, with that being said, once you've built one Federation ship as far as the layout goes, the majority of them are going to be pretty close. You have your corridors in place. Engineering is going to be typically in the lower hull of the ship. You've got your bridge on the top of the saucer section, and you've got your circular corridors, inner corridors, and straightaway corridors. That's pretty much not going to change no matter what ship you're working with. So I mean, once you get the basic structure in place of how the interior corridors work, which is honestly the most important thing you can do, everything else can kind of be up for grabs a little bit. Which is another great thing, because it kind of allows us to have a little bit more fun with our builds, and maybe try to make them a little bit more organized at the same time. Have we been able to achieve that with the Enterprise D? I don't know. Maybe that's up for debate. I'll probably end up being biased on my own build, but at the same time, I think I'm also my own worst critic. If I had to sit here and rate my Enterprise D right now, I'd probably give it like an 8.5 out of 10, because ultimately we're never going to be able to 100% finish the ship because I lost the save file. But even then, even if I had the save file, we never would have finished the Enterprise D. There would have been sections of the ship that were just left unfinished, because unfortunately there's only so much of the interior that they showed. This is something that has been like a talking point for some of my episodes, that on TNG they did not have a big budget, which is why like a majority of the rooms that you see from Next Generation, they're actually very small rooms, and it's kind of surprising when you consider the fact just how big the Enterprise D really is. And that all comes down to budget. They didn't have the budget to build out these super large rooms. The concept art is there. You can find concept art for a lot of this stuff. Now, going into the subject matter as far as the captain's yacht, I don't have the reference material up in this video. I should have probably pulled it up, but if you go online, go on Google and search Star Trek Online U.S.S. Enterprise D Captain's Yacht. If you have trouble finding it with that, take out Star Trek Online and just search U.S.S. Enterprise D Captain's Yacht. There's concept art from Star Trek Online where they had did some renderings for the Captain's Yacht. I think it was Star Trek Online. If it was from TNG, don't hold it against me. It's been a while since I've looked, but I believe it was one or the two, because I know that there are some areas of the ship that Star Trek Online specifically did concept art for. Never made it into the game, but they did it. But anyway, this piece of concept art is what I ended up using, and it honestly really wasn't a lot to work with. To be honest with you, I didn't even end up using any of it, except for having an indicator on where the navigation area or the bridge should go on the captain's yacht. Because you'd think that just based off the design of the ship, that the captain's yacht would maybe be in the center, or excuse me, that the bridge would be in the center. But to be honest with you, it's actually in one of the points. So this is the right side of the ship. Behind us is the left side. This is where the bridge will end up being. It's not going to be in the middle. And I got that based off the concept art. Now, other than that, we really don't have anything else to go off of, because in the concept art, it's actually beautiful, because it has like this walkway that's going around the captain's yacht that you can see from inside the ship, and I guess that's there so like when it detaches from the ship, people can watch it, and it's supposed to look cool. I didn't have enough room to build that out. Originally, I was going to, But after everything that was said and done, after, I built out the aquarium and everything that's directly above us, this is just a room that I had to work with. So I kind of opted out of doing that. I was like, well, you know what? When we come down to this deck, let's just focus on the captain's yacht and go from there. Now, I'm not even worrying about building the exterior of this craft because, again, we don't have the room to work to really accommodate that. So we're just going to be focusing on the interior. So this goes again to where some things that are going to be on a Starfleet ship or craft, shuttlecraft, or in this case, captain's yacht. There's certain things that you're going to expect to be there. So we need a bridge to be able to navigate the ship. And then on top of that, you need eating area, sleeping area, and then maybe even a transporter. These would be things that you'd expect to see on the captain's yacht. So that's kind of what we're going to focus on. And we're just going to use a lot of our design cues that we have from the other areas of the ship, sticking with our blue, sticking with our burgundy pink color that we have. I had selected a second ago, I forget the actual color off the top of my head, but that burgundy color that we're using right now is kind of as our pinstriping color that we've been using for the carpeting. And that's looking pretty good. So now what we're going to do, that we have our walls in place, we're going to build kind of like a strut going straight back from our turbo lift here. You can see I'm not trying to rethink the wheel here. Everything that I've done, you can see I've gone with I started with a cut line from the floor, and from there I started adding in my walls and just going off the cut line and going off the lines that I had to work with. I'm using that to help me out here because it's keeping this oval intact, because we kind of want this to keep that shape of the oval from the interior. So this way when we come down here, it kind of feels like we're on the captain's yacht. But, again, this is just going to be one of those rooms where we can kind of just do whatever we want, because unfortunately, it never made it into the show. And I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, like, if I'm really comparing my builds to official blueprints of these ships, it's not as far off as you would think. Yeah, I take some liberties here and there, but other than the general layout, I mean, well, the general layout's actually pretty damn close to how the outline of the ship should be. But really, the only time that I take liberties is when a room hasn't been fleshed out, and then sometimes maybe I might have it in a different section of the ship. Like a perfect example, the navigation dolphins area. We converted that into an aquarium, and it's on the actual Galaxy class. It's not in the center of the ship. They have it off somewhere else, but again, when we're building this thing out, it's not a bad idea to rethink the wheel a little bit in some areas, because we want to make that more efficient. So there was a reasoning for why I designed this ship in the way that I did, because it made more sense to me. It's like, okay, well, the center of our ship is kind of like our recreational area, and then we even have a recreational deck. So it wouldn't make sense to have that navigation dolphins area off somewhere else. Even though maybe it wouldn't necessarily be considered a recreational area, I still think it is, because it's dolphins. People are going to want to see that if they're on a starship for years. So it's just kind of like that logic behind it and why I make the decisions that I make. And I think that at that point, it's acceptable to kind of break away from canon when we're working out some of these rooms. Um, as long as it makes sense. Now, if you're just going off the cuff, changing things left and right, yeah, I mean, I can see that being a problem. But, at the end of the day, I think these are fairly close. But, again, I'm not trying to build this thing out one for one with the Enterprise D, exact replica. I do try to have a little bit of fun with it, but staying within the true spirit of it and trying to build it as close to how it looked on the show as it possibly looked. As much as we can do with Minecraft, anyway. We're looking pretty good right now. We're getting our archway up for what eventually is going to become our transporter room / kind of prep area. Actually, no, this will be the transporter room prep area. Behind us will be crew quarters, mess hall, and navigation or bridge. And I'm trying to make like a curve on the back wall of what the bridge will be to kind of maintain maybe that circular shape that you typically see on a Federation ship. But we're really not going to have that much room to do a lot here. We're pretty much just going to be locked into putting up a couple of blocks and then really calling it a day, because we don't have that much room to work with. But you might be surprised, by the time that we're done with it, it will resemble an area that you would come over to sit down and navigate the captain's yacht. How are we doing on time so far? We're actually doing pretty good here, but I think we're going to wrap it up here right after we fill in this part of the floor, because I'm going to be splitting this up into 2 episodes. All right, that's looking pretty good. So we're going to stop it right there. I think that's going to wrap us up today. I just want to thank you again for tuning in today's episode. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, helping me and supporting the channel. I can't thank you enough for that. And new subscribers, don't forget to hit notifications on so you always get notified when those new videos drop. And speaking of new videos, you can always catch my new Minecraft episodes dropping Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for me. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week. And if you have any questions regarding today's episode, be sure to drop a comment below. Any builds you want to see, be sure to go on the Discord and go under build suggestions. This way you can actually add your suggestion in and people can upvote it. But yeah, I think that's going to do it. I hope everybody has a happy and safe week, and I'll catch you in the next episode. And what did you make in Minecraft today? Let me know in the comments section. Drop your videos and pictures on Discord so everyone can see your builds. Have a great day.